One of the many reports that came out regarding the new HBO Harry Potter show over the last few weeks was the fact that HBO are planning on filming season 1 and 2 back to back. It's difficult to tell why they are doing this. It could be for financial purposes, or it could simply be so they can get ahead and make sure the child actors don't age out of their roles, like some of the cast did for the original Harry Potter movies. Anyway, I have decided to follow HBO's lead, and after 1 week off, I am ready to bring season 2 to life with my perfect vision of the show. Chamber of Secrets is a book that gets overlooked by a lot of people. However, I think with enough time and good planning, the dark whodunit mystery could lead to season 2 being one of the standout seasons of the show. So let's jump right into season 2 of Harry Potter, episode 1, Dobby's Warning. We open on a dimly lit hallway in a large and opulent manor. The camera glides silently over polished dark wood and towering shelves of dark artifacts. A house elf scrubs the floor on his hands and knees, his large ears twitching nervously. Suddenly, voices behind the door grow louder and louder, and the elf freezes. We can't make out exactly what is being said, but we do hear 2 words: Harry Potter. The elf's eyes widen in horror, and the camera pushes in on his face as he realizes something terrible is being planned. With a gasp, the elf snaps his fingers and disappears with a deafening crack that echoes through the hall. We cut to black, and the title sequence is cued. Now, it was pretty common for the first few books, I think up to book 4, to open with a description of Harry and a recap of his backstory, his appearance, the fact he's a wizard and that he goes to Hogwarts, etc, etc. And I don't think the show needs to do this. I don't even really know how they would do it without it coming across pretty cheesy and over the top. However, after the title sequence, we will open with a slow pan through Harry's room at Privet Drive, with the camera passing over spellbooks, robes, the Nimbus 2000, and Hedwig in her cage. The shot ends with Harry looking at himself in the mirror, finishing up getting changed that morning, and he brushes his hair out of his eyes, revealing his lightning scar. This is a nice way to recap Harry's character without using over-the-top narration like in the book. We then see Harry go downstairs to join the Dursleys for breakfast, and we get the scene with Uncle Vernon raging to Harry about Hedwig hooting in the night, and Harry pleading with him to let Hedwig out of her cage. Dudley then tells Harry to pass the bacon, and we get the incredible moment from the book where Harry says, "You've forgotten the magic word," which prompts outrage from Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia, and Dudley falls spectacularly off his chair. I really want the show to continue to emphasise the Dursleys' reaction to magic, especially with Dudley, as they never properly explored just how terrified of magic he is. The Dursleys then proceed to discuss their plans for their dinner party that evening, similar to the movie, however this time it's at breakfast, and afterwards Harry goes outside. We then get one of my favourite moments from any of the books, where Harry pretends to set a bush on fire in front of Dudley by saying a bunch of gibberish. I love this moment because it really highlights how Harry in the books was incredibly quick-witted and quite cheeky. It's a characteristic I really wished was in the movies more, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of it in the TV show. Harry is then punished for this, and we get a montage of him doing various chores around the house, such as cleaning the windows, washing the car, and mowing the lawn. The montage ends with him sitting on the lawn before seeing a pair of green eyes staring out of a bush at him. Before Harry can investigate, however, Aunt Petunia calls him back inside and up to his room before the dinner party starts. We then get the introduction of Dobby waiting for Harry in his room, and the rest of the scene plays out pretty much identically to the movie, with Dobby warning Harry not to go back to Hogwarts, revealing that he's been stopping Harry's letters from reaching him, and culminating in the race downstairs before Dobby levitates Aunt Petunia's pudding, smashing it on the floor and covering Harry in whipped cream and sugared violets. Sequence 1 of the episode ends with Harry covered in pudding, in shock, and we see Dobby in the background vanish with a crack. Before we go on, please remember to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and hit the notification bell. I'm so excited that we're now bringing Season 2 to life, and it will really help me out if you can do these things. Sequence 2 of the episode opens with Harry, still covered in pudding, mopping up the kitchen, and as the camera pans round, we see the Dursleys in the living room with the Masons trying to repair all of the damage. It looks to be working at first before an owl swoops into the living room and drops the letter on Mrs. Mason's head. Mr. and Mrs. Mason scream and run from the house before Uncle Vernon picks up the letter, rips it open, and reads it. I want to include this moment as the movies never actually highlighted the fact that Harry got an official warning from the Ministry of Magic for using a hover charm in the second book. And it is something that is later brought up in the third and fifth books, the latter of which being used to almost expel Harry from Hogwarts. It also serves as a way to change the dynamic slightly between the Dursleys and Harry, as from this point forward they're not quite as terrified of him. After getting Harry to read the letter aloud, Uncle Vernon then proceeds to lock Harry in his room and apply the bars on his window. And the next thing we see is a very peculiar dream sequence. Harry dreams that he's in a zoo exhibit with people pressing their noses up against the bars at him like Dobby and Dudley, before he opens his eyes and sees Ron in a flying car staring through the bars. One feature of the books that I really enjoy is these bizarre dreams, sometimes nonsensical ones, sometimes the darker ones like the glimpses into Voldemort's mind. So hopefully with more time and budget, we will see more of these featured in the show. We then have the escape from the Dursleys scene, which will be very similar to the movie, with Uncle Vernon trying and failing to stop Harry escaping in the car. Once they're in the air, we'll get a short conversation with Harry explaining why he wasn't replying to Ron's letters, all about Dobby and his warning. And after the conversation, we'll transition into some beautiful shots of the car flying over rural England, with the sky becoming lighter and lighter as dawn approaches. The scene then ends with the arrival at the Burrow, very similar to the movie, with a sketchy landing. Harry exits the car and marvels at the bizarre house before...
"Ah," said Fred. "Oh dear," said George.
We see Mrs. Weasley standing in the door to the Burrow, looking furious, which brings Sequence 2 to a close. Sequence 3 covers the rest of Chapter 3 of the book, plus a little bit of Chapter 4 in order to allow Season 2, Episode 1 to end on a cliffhanger. The sequence opens with the camera panning through the Burrow, seeing all of the different Weasley oddities, such as the clock, magical household books, and the Wizarding Wireless playing Celestina Warbeck. The camera then moves into the kitchen, where we see Mrs. Weasley screaming herself hoarse at Ron and the twins. And after this, I really want to see the de-gnoming the garden scene. It's one of my favourite moments from this book, and I think leaving gnomes out completely from the movies was a real shame. Also, I think it's major nostalgia from the Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets game. That part of the game was so janky, but still a lot of fun. After the de-gnoming scene, Harry, Ron, Fred and George head back into the kitchen, and we get the introduction to Mr. Weasley, who hopefully is balding and bespectacled like described in the books, and after breakfast, Ron takes Harry up to his room. On the way upstairs, they catch a glimpse of a pair of bright brown eyes staring out of a door that suddenly slams shut as they walk past. Ron informs Harry that that was Ginny as they are stepping into Ron's room, and finally we will get to see Ron's room in all its glory. We'll see the Chudley cannons plastered all over the walls, a pile of comics featuring the adventures of Martin Miggs the Mad Muggle, self-shuffling playing cards, and a fish tank full of frog spawn. Harry grins at Ron and says it's the best house he's ever been in, before we move into a montage covering Harry's next few days at the Burrow, including playing Quidditch with Ron, Fred and George, and discussing Muggle inventions with Mr. Weasley. The episode will then move into its climax scene. During breakfast one morning, Hogwarts letters arrive for Harry, Ron, Fred, George, Percy, and Ginny. The letters include the book lists they will need that year, and they make a note of the fact that it includes 8 Gilderoy Lockhart books. We then cut to the Weasleys and Harry stood around the fireplace, ready to use flue powder to get to Diagon Alley. Mrs. Weasley hands Harry a flower pot full of powder, explaining how to use it. Fred and George demonstrate before Harry steps into the fire, scattering the powder and coughing out Diagon Alley through a mouthful of ash. The journey is chaotic, with Harry spinning around and around through emerald green flames, catching glimpses of random fireplaces, living rooms, kitchens, as he is zooming past them. When he finally crashes out, it's not into the warmth of Diagon Alley, but onto the cold stone floor in a dark and eerie shop, filled with sinister objects like a withered hand, blood-stained cards, and sinister masks. Realizing he's completely lost, Harry tries to slip out unnoticed, only to spot Draco Malfoy and his father approaching the shop. Covered in soot, with broken glasses and no way to escape, Harry freezes in fear and shock. We cut to black, and the credits roll on episode 1. So that's my plan for the season 2 premiere. I wanted to prioritise again on moments that the movies missed, such as the Dursleys' fear of Harry, Harry's witty sarcasm, and the Ministry warning letter. Having a cold open with Dobby and Malfoy Manor is a little bit of a difference, but again, it's just a small little Easter egg, something a bit unexpected for the die-hard fans as well as the new fans. And finally, going a little bit into Chapter 4 and ending in Nocturne Alley provides us with that cliffhanger that will hook viewers immediately. So what do you want to see in this episode and for the rest of Season 2? Please let me know your suggestions down in the comments, and once again remember to subscribe, like the video and hit the notification bell as I bring out more content around HBO's Harry Potter show.